What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Let's start by bringing you up to speed on the project I got behind me here. This is my 1993 Lexus SC 400 that I got a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I've always kind of had an affinity for these cars, like these cars. One late night, couldn't sleep, searching the internet, found one in Chicago. Decided to go check it out. It was very, very clean. Mileage was okay. Had an impeccable service history. A perfect car for me to rip up and ruin. So once I bought the car, plan was always to make it faster. Drove it around stock for a while. I liked it. It's a great car. It's a fun car, but it's very slow. The 400 is the 4-liter V8. It's 200-ish horsepower stock. Not a very sporty automatic in it by any stretch of the imagination. So I always want to make it faster. I found a local guy selling a Pro Charger kit for one of these. I bought it off him. The kit was pretty beat up. The bracket was not very good. The Pro Charger probably needed to be sent in and gone through, so I wanted to upgrade the Pro Charger, and that's when I kind of found out it was going to be very difficult to figure out a pulley setup to make more boost even on that blower, or go to any of the bigger blowers. So it was pretty limited to what you could do. So I kind of abandoned that idea, sold that off. Someone local needed a motor for their car that at the time was their daily driver. So I took that opportunity to pull the engine out of this one and sell it to him. And so the main focus of this car has always kind of been a street strip car. I want to do drag week and any drag week type events, Rocky Mountain Race Week, things like that. So I did what everybody does and went with an LS motor. I found one pretty cheap. I know them, I've worked on them, I've made big power with them before, so it's a little bit of a no-brainer. The big thing for me ditching the stock 1UZ engine was parts availability. If I'm doing a drag week or an event like that and I need something on an LS, I'll find anything I need anywhere I'm at, no problem. If I need parts for a 1UZ, good luck. Even if it was something simple, like I need a head gasket or something like that, even just to do a head gasket on the 1UZ versus an LS is night and day. So I didn't want to change out to an LS motor because it's so kind of played out or whatever you want to say, but it just made more sense. Much easier for what I'm trying to do with the car. More room. The 1UZ that came in this is a pretty wide engine, being an overhead cam, a dual overhead cam V8. So it was pretty tight to try to fit anything in here for a turbo. It's doable. It's been done. It's definitely a possibility, but it's much easier to work with the LS motor. It just made more sense to me to do it that way. So the story goes, to bring you guys up to speed as to what's been going on with this thing, because we're kind of mid-project, I would say, with it. Once I decided I was going to go LS, I kind of got into it pretty good. I started out a little slow working on it, but then at a certain point, some of the house projects wrapped up and I got some free time and had accumulated a good amount of parts and material, mostly material at that point. And I had got pretty far, pretty quick on fabbing the turbo kit and stuff like that. Then, unfortunately, our house got broken into. Nobody was hurt, anything like that. No one was home when it happened, so that was good. But it really put the brakes on the car. We obviously didn't want to stay in that house anymore. The wife was freaked out, so we immediately started looking for a new place to move to. The whole moving process, it was very difficult selling of the old place. So that delayed everything about a year, at least about a year. once we got into this place, I got the lift that you see behind me, and kind of just stuck the car on the lift and forgot about it. I was always thinking about it, always wanting to tinker with it, but kind of the same problem, house projects at a new place kind of took over. But I was accumulating parts, buying parts, working on it a little bit here and there. At this point now, the car has probably sat again for probably about 6 months. So you'll see it looks like it's been sitting, but we're getting back into it. That's what I'm doing right here with the YouTube, to try and keep me motivated to get this thing going, since I have such a stockpile of parts and material, and it's pretty far along, all things considered. So now that we're kind of up to speed on the car, let's kind of look around and I'll show you what we're working with, you know, what I have for parts and what the car looks like and where we're starting really. Again, this is kind of the middle of a project. The turbo kit's already been mostly fabricated. I haven't final welded everything yet, but most of it is final welded. The hot side is pretty much all final welded. I haven't built out the exhaust. I haven't finished mounting the intercooler, and you know, I've got to figure out some stuff with the radiator. So there's still lots to do. So let's start with the engine bay, which has no engine in it, as you can see. Again, this car has been sitting for a while now, so kind of ignore that, you know, this is a little rusty and this half-cut piece that keep having to modify to fit different things as I change how I was fabricating stuff, but this is pretty much going to stay the way you see it. I gotta, you know, trim up some of these holes, patch in some ones I think I'm gonna get rid of. I'm debating if I'm gonna take the felt off the firewall. Having had some cars in the past that had a lot of heat radiating off of the firewall, I kind of want to keep it. But we'll see. I have an ABS delete that I probably will change around just so I can add a line lock. It's actually a pretty nice kit, but I want to put a line lock on it, so that'll make my life easier if I just get rid of that whole kit. Here's the little baby turbo. Like I said, it's a Precision LS 7576, I think it is. Nothing too special, kind of a budget deal, but gets the job done. Mounts I bought from a guy named Dan. I'm going to butcher his last name, so I won't even try. But they're very nice. He also did the Transcross member, which you'll see when I get the car up in the air for you. That's about it under the hood. Nothing really to see currently. Back here is the very dirty engine that has all of the miles on it. Nothing too special. Like I said, Gen 3 5.3 stock bottom end, as you could clearly tell. I got a SFI flex plate. I think it's a TCI. Did a new rear main seal, some ARP hardware back there. Nothing too crazy. It's all pulled apart right now for a cam to go in, oil pump. I have a new oil pump. I'm going to try a C6 oil pan for it. LS6 intake manifold. You know, basic stuff. Probably a Motion Raceworks turbo cam, stage 2 turbo cam. That's about it for the bottom end. Let's go look at the heads. Now here's where things get interesting. Here are my heads. These are the ones that came off of that motor. I obviously had them cleaned up. I did BTR 660 springs, dual valve springs, titanium retainers, new seals, new keepers. The intake valves were replaced. I believe it was the intake valves. They were pretty much toast. Decked the surface. Then later on, I found out that these heads are what they call a notch head, which is this guy right there. And that does not do well with MLS head gaskets, because between your water ports here and here, this gasket has nothing pushing it down, and it wants to leak water. Now, some people say they have no problems with it. Other people say they have major problems with it. I don't want to risk it, so I got to decide what I'm going to do there. Sucks to have these heads all nice, ready to go, because I could have easily welded that before I brought him in and had a machine. It would be all set, but we'll figure it out. That's kind of a hold up right now, but we'll figure something out there. Next up is the transmission. Like I said, it's pretty basic. TH400 just has a JW Ultra Bell on it. There is the Trans Cross member, also made by Dan, whose last name I will never be able to pronounce. It does have a trans brake. This is the low car locking dipstick. This is just the plug in there when it's being stored so you don't get a bunch of stuff in it. Deep aluminum pan that's actually ruined. Tell you about that later. ATI catch can that is also kind of ruined. I'll tell you about that later. Let's go look underneath the car. All right, before we go underneath it, I guess I could show you. It is sitting on some Nitto NT555Rs on the stock wheels. You'll see probably in the videos a bunch of times that it's missing lug nuts. It had some kind of weird locking lug nut. Nobody wanted that, so I pulled it off. I just haven't gotten more lugs yet to replace that. So don't worry about it missing a lug nut. I'll get around to that. You can also see over here is pretty much all the turbo kit. This is the downpipe right there. This is your hot side crossover. That's the piece that's gonna feed up to the turbo right there. And I am doing this on truck manifolds, at least for now. Again, this is a pretty budget setup, so I didn't want to get too crazy building manifolds, all that. So truck manifolds it is. All right, now we're under the car. Not really anything special. It's all stock suspension. It's kind of dirty under here, but rust free, which if you know anybody in the Chicago area, that is amazing. Kind of give you a shot of the rails down here. Everything's all just stock. I haven't really started underneath here yet with any running fuel lines, anything like that. Stock rear end. Probably gonna run it stock for now. Hopefully it holds up. We'll find out. If not, we'll figure it out, I guess. Other side's all nice and clean. Again, nothing really to see, but here it is anyway. Here's kind of somewhat of a shot of the car. It's kind of hard to show you right now, but it's pretty clean. The interior is a sage color. The exterior is some kind of dark forest green. I don't remember the paint code, but it's in pretty good shape. No rust, no real dents or anything like that. It's gotten kind of beat up since it's been in the garage. What are you gonna do? It happens. Well, that's it. That's the car, that's the project. Kind of up to speed as to where we're at with it right now. Like I said, I have a lot of parts ready to go for it. I already have a Holly, I have injectors, I have fuel rails, I have a shifter, all kinds of parts ready to go for it. Fabrication wise, it's mostly there, but there's still a good amount of fabrication to do and a lot of welding to finish up. A lot of things are just tacked. All the intercooler piping is all tacked. So plenty of welding and stuff like that. You get to see terrible welding by an amateur. Again, everything is going to be just me, myself, and I doing it. I am not a professional. I just do this as a hobby. Hope you guys follow along and enjoy. See you next time.